Ready for some ancient mysteries?
Always.
Today, we're diving deep, way back to ancient Mesopotamia.
Land of ziggurats, right?
Exactly. And tales that have been told for millennia. We're tackling the Anunnaki.
Oh, interesting.
But, and this is key for this deep dive, we want to understand these figures like the Mesopotamians themselves did, not just the surface level stuff.
Get into their mindset.
Yeah.
I like it. It's going to be a fascinating journey. We're going deep into Sumerian mythology, beliefs, even how these gods shaped their society.
Okay, so let's just start like right off the bat with the name.
Okay.
Anunnaki.
It's catchy.
It sounds like it belongs in a sci-fi epic.
It does have a ring to it, doesn't it?
It really does. But what's the story? Where'd they get that name?
Well, even the name itself gives us a clue about their power. Anunnaki is often translated as those who came down from heaven, or more literally, offspring of Anu. And Anu, he was the big deity in the Mesopotamian pantheon.
Like top dog.
The sky god, top of the cosmic totem pole.
So it's not just a cool name. It connects them to ultimate authority.
Absolutely.
Like imagine King of the Universe is part of your title.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The Anunnaki, they aren't just one god. It's a whole group of deities, each with their own, roles and responsibilities.
It's like a pantheon.
It's less like Zeus and more like imagine a whole divine family tree.
Okay, so we've got a powerful dynasty on our hands. So what do the actual myths tell us about them? Give me, like, the Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes. All right, well, let's take the Sumerian creation myth.
Okay.
It says the Anunnaki were involved in actually creating humanity.
What?
But get this. They did it because they needed help with their workload.
Wait.
Yeah.
So we were divinely outsourced labor from day one.
That's one way to put it, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then that makes you wonder, what kind of tasks did these all-powerful beings need help with? And what does that say about how the Mesopotamians saw humanity's place in the grand scheme of things?
That is the beauty of mythology, right? It opens up these really interesting questions about our purpose.
It does.
And the Anunnaki, they pop up in other big myths, too. Take the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Okay.
It's basically their odyssey.
Their equivalent of it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a foundational story for them. And here, the Anunnaki are these powerful figures who can grant immortality, who can judge humans. They're not just like background characters. They're really involved.
Or running the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're deeply involved in human affairs. We're seeing a pattern here, aren't we? And it's not just about creation, right? Or like these epic adventures. They show up in Inanna's descent to the underworld, which highlights this connection to the afterlife. These deities, it's like they have their heavenly hands in everything.
Precisely. And that's crucial because it takes us beyond just cool stories. It shows us how deeply intertwined the Anunnaki were with the Mesopotamian worldview. Wow. This wasn't just religious belief. It was woven into the very fabric of their existence.
It's like their lifeblood. So how did that actually play out in like daily life for the average Sumerian? Because it's one thing to have gods and stories.
Sure.
How did the Anunnaki impact like their society?
Well, imagine this. Kings, the rulers of the land, claimed that their right to rule came directly from the Anunnaki. So their authority wasn't just earthly, it was divinely ordained.
Talk about a power move. No wonder those kings held such sway.
Right.
But it goes beyond even that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Laws, societal norms, everything they believed, it all stemmed from the Anunnaki's judgment.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
That kind of weight.
Behind every rule and social expectation.
So it wasn't just about who was in charge. The entire framework of their society was coming from these gods.
Yeah.
That's a level of influence that's hard to grasp from our modern perspective. That makes you wonder.
Yeah.
If their entire civilization was like built on this foundation of divine influence.
Yeah.
We tend to separate religion and daily life, but for the Mesopotamians, it was all completely connected.
Intertwined, yeah.
Yeah, it really was. But let's shift gears a bit, because when we hear Anunnaki today, it often comes with some, I don't know, baggage.
Baggage, yeah.
Right.
We can't ignore the elephant in the ziggurat.
Okay, I like that.
The ancient astronaut theory. It's definitely captured imaginations, this idea that the Anunnaki were actually extraterrestrials.
Okay.
Visiting Earth centuries ago.
It's a classic, right?
Yeah.
Advanced beings, spaceships, like the whole 9 yards. But what's the scholarly perspective on this? I mean, are there archaeologists out there who are secretly sci-fi fans, just waiting to uncover that alien artifact?
Well, It's a really fun thought experiment,
It is.
but the evidence just doesn't really point that way. Mainstream archaeology, history, they haven't found anything to support it. It mostly comes from interpreting those ancient texts through a very, I'd say, specific lens.
Kind of like looking at clouds. Like you can see whatever shapes you want if you look hard enough.
Right.
But it doesn't mean they're actually there.
A perfect analogy.
Right.
It's really important to kind of approach these claims critically. The ancient astronaut theory often relies on like selective interpretations, jumping to conclusions that aren't really supported by the broader context.
So while the idea might be super intriguing, like we got to be careful not to let speculation get in the way of actual fact.
Exactly. The Anunnaki were incredibly significant to the Mesopotamians for reasons that have nothing to do with aliens. Their impact on their religion, their society, even their kingship. I mean, that's where the real story is.
Which brings us to, like, the million-dollar question. If they weren't visitors from another planet, why are we still so captivated by them thousands of years later? Like, what is it about these Mesopotamian deities that just sticks with us?
I think it's because their story touches on those universal human questions we all grapple with. Where did we come from? What's our purpose? What happens after we die? And the Anunnaki were woven into the Mesopotamian answers to those questions.
They're like these walking, talking embodiments of those big existential mysteries,
Yeah.
even if their answers were specific to their time and place.
Precisely. And beyond that, the Anunnaki have had this incredible staying power in pop culture.
Yeah.
Books, movies, video games, you can't escape them.
They're everywhere. It's almost as if by tapping into those timeless human questions, they've ensured their own continued relevance.
Absolutely. And that ongoing fascination, it really helps keep the study of ancient Mesopotamia alive. It drives new research, fresh interpretations. It allows us to have, a deeper understanding of this incredibly influential civilization.
It's almost poetic in a way. These deities who were believed to hold dominion over the heavens and the earth in their time continue to influence us, even if it's in a way that they never could have imagined.
Yeah.
But there's one more layer to this, isn't there?
There is indeed, and it has to do with the very nature of storytelling itself.
You're killing me.
Yeah.
What's this final layer to the Anunnaki legacy?
Well, we've talked about, their impact on Mesopotamian society, their resurgence in pop culture, but what about the very act of storytelling itself? I mean, these weren't just dry historical accounts, right?
Right.
These were myths designed to explain the world, explore anxieties, and pass on values.
It's like we humans are hardwired for stories, It helps us make sense of things.
It's how we connect.
Yeah, connect with each other, imagine possibilities.
Exactly. So when we think about the Anunnaki, those ancient Mesopotamians weren't just recording facts. They were grappling with really big questions through these really vivid, memorable tales. Questions like, why are we here? What does it even mean to be human?
Are we alone? And those are questions we're still asking. Maybe we answer them a little differently. But we're still looking up at the stars, wondering about our place in it all. It's almost as if the Anunnaki have become like these archetypes, these universal symbols that they transcend time and culture.
That's a really insightful way to put it. It really is. And it kind of brings us back to that question we touched on earlier. If these deities weren't aliens, what was it about the heavens that inspired such awe, such a desire to project so much power onto them?
It's a good question. Was it the sheer vastness of the sky? The stars? The way celestial events seem to actually influence life on Earth? Or was it something more? Something about I don't know, the human need to believe in something bigger than ourselves?
Maybe it was a combination, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the unknown has this way of inspiring both fear and wonder. And from that really fertile ground, myths are born. And it's through those myths, those stories, that the Anunnaki continue to resonate. They prompt us to look beyond what we think we know and ask those big questions.
What a fascinating deep dive. We've journeyed back in time to ancient Mesopotamia, explored the myths, the cultural impact. We even touched on modern interpretations of the Anunnaki. And through it all, we've uncovered not just information, but a deeper understanding of the human need to explain the universe. And, of course, our place in it.
It reminds us that the past isn't just dates and events, It's this rich tapestry of beliefs and stories and the enduring human quest for meaning.
And on that note, we'll leave you to keep exploring those ancient mysteries. Keep asking those big questions, keep seeking out those fascinating stories, and most importantly, keep diving deep.